I come through with my bike and I hear this voice saying, whoa, hold up, boss. Hold up, boss man. I'm not gonna be able to let you keep that bike in here. And I really thought at first he was joking. I said, excuse me? So Thanksgiving weekend was rapidly approaching, and it had been a while since I'd been out of town to ride my bike. I really wanted to go on a bike trail weekend. And so I checked. I know what you're thinking. It's a holiday weekend. You can't do that. You got to eat with family and friends. And look, I was invited to a family thing. My dad was going to go to it, so I knew he was taken care of. I checked with my kids. I said, look, if I go out of town, instead of eating the traditional turkey dinner and everything, would you guys be okay with that? My son and my daughter both said, absolutely. In fact, my daughter said, I wish I could go with you. So I just wanted to check and make sure that it was not going to come up in a therapy session 10 years down the road. Hey, remember that time Dad didn't eat Thanksgiving dinner with us? So anyway, I really wanted to ride my bike. I got permission from the kids. I politely declined the family function, and I set out for Chattanooga. But first, I booked a hotel room. I don't normally do that. I usually fly completely by the seat of my pants. A little planning can be good sometimes. Too much planning can ruin everything. I like the freedom and the spontaneity these days of just being able to be quick on my feet out on the road, make quick decisions on the spur of the moment. But this time, for whatever reason, I went ahead and I called and I booked a room with the group of motels where I'm in a rewards point system thing. So I wanted to get credit. Now, I'm just going to tell you, in the interest of full disclosure, when I travel on bike trail trips, your boy is not staying at the finest places, okay? I'm usually staying at a 2-star hotel because I don't want to spend a lot of money. It's just me. There's nobody else to impress, and I just need running water and a place to sleep. I just need a place to lay down, splash some water on my face, take a quick shower. I usually don't even watch TV much. I mean, I'm so far removed from the whole cable TV universe that I turn on those TVs and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know how to use a remote anymore. So it was a Super 8, okay? I'm just gonna tell you, I booked ahead of time, I booked a room at a Super 8. So, I drive to Chattanooga. I had really been wanting to take in the Chattanooga Riverwalk. I did. It was an amazing experience, and I will be sharing the Chattanooga Riverwalk in depth on a future edition of Joyful Trails. But I had a great time exploring the Riverwalk, and then I went to check in the Super 8. So, I go in. Okay, the guy could clearly see. I pulled up, right there near the front check-in little office area. The guy could clearly see that there was a bicycle on the back of my car. I know he saw it. This guy, let's just say that this guy was not missing any meals, had not missed any meals for a very, very long time. There was a dental issue, a major dental issue that was clearly visible to the customers, anybody that got anywhere close to this guy. I knew I was in trouble when there was a sign on the desk that said something about a noise rule, and that if you, you got 2 warnings, you got 2 verbal warnings, and if they had to come to you a 3rd time to be quiet, you would get kicked out. When there's a sign like that, at the front desk when you check in. Not to mention the color scheme, the decor, the paint job, everything about this screamed in the back of my mind, this was a mistake, you're in trouble. This time you pushed your luck a little too much. But I went ahead and I was like, how bad can it be? For $79, how bad can it be? So I booked the room with the guy. I go outside and I got my bike. And now this just happened to be a hotel where all the doors to the rooms opened to an inside hallway. At a Super 8, you would not expect that. You would expect the doors to open to the outside. That's another reason I like to travel on bike trips and stay in 2-star hotels or motels, because the doors often open to the outside and it makes it very convenient to just walk your bike right into the room. Well, no such luck here. All the doors opened to an inside hallway. So I was like, okay. So I got my bike. I wheeled my bike into the hotel, as I've often done in other places. And all of a sudden I hear this voice. And in the lobby, there's a bunch of people in there watching a football game. A bunch of people that it seemed like they were not customers. It seemed like these people just were hanging out. Loitering, we used to call it in the old days. I come through with my bike and I hear this voice saying, hold up, boss. Hold up, boss man. I'm not gonna be able to let you keep that bike in here. I must have looked at him sort of like a dog will look at you sometimes, with the head kind of. I must have paused for a few seconds just to try to process what he was saying. Hey, hold up, boss man. I'm not gonna let you be able to keep that bike in here. I said, and I really thought at first he was joking. I said, excuse me? And he repeated, yeah, I can't let you keep that bike in your room, insurance purposes. I said, what? He said, yeah, insurance purposes. And I said, and by now all the people watching the football game, they've all stopped and they're listening and watching to see how this is going to end. I said, then I can't stay here. Well, I mean, I can cash you out or check you out, whatever he said. I can close you out. I said, I can't leave my bike outside. I paid too much money for it. It's got to stay in the room with me. He said, well, we can't do that because one time, what had happened was, one time there was this guy here that tried to keep a bike in his room, and he got up in the middle of the night to go use the bathroom, and he tripped over the bike and tried to sue us. Okay, so one guy one time stubbed his toe on his bicycle and threatened a frivolous lawsuit, and so now nobody can keep a bike in their room. Okay, I was like, well, then I gotta go. And he was like, okay. I mean, this guy, he was all too happy to reverse the paperwork and get me out of there. So here I am in Chattanooga. He signs the thing. He's like, okay, I put the money back on your credit card. I'm like, all right, see ya. I went outside. I called a Days Inn, which was also in the same rewards group of hotels where I stay on these trips. Turns out the Days Inn was like one hotel down the street. There was one hotel between the Super 8 and the Days Inn. The Days Inn, it was run and operated by like an Indian family, some people from India. And I told the guy what had happened with the toothless guy, with the toothless husky man at the Super 8. Because I just wanted to make sure that the same thing was not going to happen. Like, is this a Chattanooga thing? Is this a Tennessee thing? I don't want to go and check into this Days Inn and then all of a sudden be told, whoa, hold up, boss. So he was like, you're kidding, right? I've never heard of that. And I was like, yeah, okay. All right, well, I just wanted to check and make sure. And so I go in and I check in, and he asked me again when I got to the desk. The Indian guy asked me. He said, "So, if you don't mind me asking, which hotel was it?" And I said, "It was the Super 8 right over there." And he just shook his head and smiled and said, "I've never heard of that in my life." Well, all's well that ends well, because this Days Inn was literally adjacent to a Cracker Barrel, which is a great place. If you're going to have Thanksgiving dinner alone, on a bike trip, out of town, away from anybody and everybody that you know, I mean, isn't Cracker Barrel just an obvious choice? Talk about comfort food. So I go to, and there's a story there too. I go to the Cracker Barrel. The waitress was very nice. She let me know that she had been there working for about 14 or 15 hours that day on Thanksgiving. So immediately I'm already like, I'm going to give this girl a great tip. But there was another guy. I looked around. I was sitting in a section of about 4 other men who were dining alone. So I'm like, this is either the Divorced Dads Club of America or a bunch of truckers or so. I don't know what the deal is. But one of them really showed his tail, claimed that he had been waiting way too long, and when he got his food, it wasn't what he wanted, and I want to speak to the manager. This guy pulled the whole Kevin Karen routine. Had the manager come to the table, just caused a big stink, and so he was out of there. He left without even eating. Let's just say I gave her a tip that night that was worth more than my entire bill. It is not often that I tip over 100%. But I did that night because she gave up her Thanksgiving for all of us weirdos. So listen, if you're planning a bike trip to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you're thinking about pre-booking a room at a Super 8, and you would like to share a room with your bicycle, you might want to call ahead because, insurance purposes.